All right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you may happen to be. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. Very, very excited to have everybody on and listening to us. As everybody starts to file in, we have a few housekeeping items we're going to be going through. But again, we're talking about boosting your ad performance using precision targeting today. We have a great panel set up for everybody and a lot of great information to go through. Super excited to get into it and to take your questions and to give you kind of a look into 2025 as to what's coming down the road, how AI is going to play a part in that, how local targeting is going to play a part in that. All those great conversation pieces will be coming up shortly in our discussion today with our panelists. As people come in, we're going to give people just a couple more minutes to file in and find their seats, as it were, and get situated for our conversation today. Just as a reminder, we are recording this, and the recording will be sent out to everybody afterwards, so you can have a copy of this. You can share it around with your coworkers or other people that you know if they are interested in this as well. Share it with your teams, or if you by chance happen to have to leave early, go back and pick up the pieces that you may have missed, or the sections that are most interesting to you. You can go back and listen to those again. They'll be available on your YouTube channel, and they'll be emailed out to everybody who attended as well, so you get it both ways. So while everybody is gathering their seats and getting ready, couple other housekeeping items. There is the QA section at the bottom of the screen, so please feel free to use that if you have something for any of our panelists here or for myself that you have questions about. Feel free to load those in there. We'll try to grab those as we go. If they're specific to the topic at hand, if they're more general, we're going to have a QA session at the end. We may hold those and circle back around for those at the end of the conversation. But those where you can put your Q&A. We also have a chat section too. If you have a comment, you want to put a smiley face in, something really struck a chord with you, feel free to use that as a way to engage with the panelists, share your ideas, share your thoughts on what we're talking about, and feel free to use that liberally as well. And we'd love to have that engagement with you guys. It's fun to be up here talking, but it's more fun when we have engagement with the audience and you guys out there at home or in the office. We'd love to have those virtual conversations with you as well. So we'll go ahead and jump in. We're a couple minutes in, so I will do brief announcements. My name is Kevin. I'm the head of marketing at TapClicks, and I am super thankful for all of you spending a few minutes of your time with us today. We brought together some really important people to talk about something that matters to just about all of us, whether you're an agency, whether you're a brand, any kind of marketer out there. Ad targeting is something that's really critical to the success of everything that we're doing. But it's transformed itself over the years, right? It used to be super easy. If you had a fishing pole that you were trying to sell, you put your ad in a fishing magazine and you sold your fishing poles. That was it. Now we have so many different other components that come into the targeting matrix. It can be overwhelming at times to even know what to use or what not to use, what new targeting strategies are going to be beneficial, what aren't. And I don't want to throw my money away, right? It's like gambling with your lunch money. You need that to survive and to grow your business or to grow your agency's business, etc. So all of the different targetings, the psychographics, the demographics, the geographics, the identity targeting, the signals, this, that, and the other thing. How do we cut through all of that and get to the bottom line of what is most important? What's really going to drive revenue for us at the end of the day? That's what we're here to talk about today. So we've got some fantastic people on the panel. Going to go through and introduce them to you and then kick it off with our conversation here. But first and foremost, anybody who just joined, again, we are recording this. It'll be available for you afterwards. So please look for that if you want to share that around, and that'll be available for you as well. So panelist introduction, first and foremost, I'm going to start with Adam Wood, who's the CEO of Choosel. Choosel is one of the predominant performance platforms out there doing programmatic. They've introduced a lot of AI with the help of Adam to really expand out their offerings, their targeting, and their whole systems. They have some really cool things we're going to be going into, including things like Amazon targeting. So if you have an e-commerce brand out there, you want to really pay attention when Adam gets on the stage and starts talking to us about the different targeting features that they have there. Plus, then on the programmatic side, they have Trade Desk and some other really cool things. So really a whole host of offerings from a programmatic standpoint. Adam, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely. And we have two Kellys on the call with us. So Kelly Miller comes to us from Yelp. We're welcoming Yelp back to the TapClick stage. They joined us a while ago when we actually walked through the Yelp platform. If you want to look at that, that's on our YouTube channel, really showing you how easy it is to use the Yelp platform and how it integrates with your campaigns. But Kelly is the head of partner sales, and she is going to be sharing with us really the power of how do we get local and hyper local. What does that mean to our campaigns, and how can you guys leverage that in 2025? So Kelly, welcome to the panel. Super happy to have you.
Thank you, Kevin.
And our other Kelly, not to be second, but Kelly Grambo comes to us from Gray Media. They have 113 areas that they are covering. They get 36% of the US households covered with their programming in video and digital, all kinds of things. So Gray Media is here and Kelly is representing them. She's going to bring some fantastic targeting strategies for video, for digital, and all other kinds of things. So we're excited to have Kelly with us as well.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, as we're getting warmed up for you guys, we want you to get out of your chair or in your chair, but get your fingers warmed up, go into the chat, and what we want to see is what is your least favorite targeting option? We always know what our best is, but what is our least favorite? Is it psychographic information? Is it geographic? Is it geofencing? Is it keyword advertising? What is the least favorite thing that you have from a targeting perspective that you've run into? I think one of the things that I always find is so funny and always difficult is the least favorite one that I run into is really the ad sizes. What ad sizes work best? And it's so dependent on where the location of the ad is as to what the ad size is that works. So I'm always like, oh, we have all these different ad sizes. I'm like, okay, great. Well, show me where it is on the page, because just telling me you have this huge thing doesn't do me any good. So the ad size is the one that I like the least. So we have some great things that are coming in: geofencing, keywords, cookie-based, email domain conquesting. Ah, I love that one. That's a headache that everybody struggles with, I think. Geofencing, yes. Geofencing. What's the difference between zip code targeting, DMA targeting, city targeting, all those different kinds of things just sometimes gets too much. We have lots of great people commenting, geofencing, geofencing, geofencing. Sounds like geofencing is winning the argument for the least favorite targeting option out there. I think everybody's feeling that pain too. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing your pain. We feel that pain as well. So jumping into it, we've got our panelists. We talked to you guys about that. Again, we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. So let's just strap in and get into it. First thing I want to focus on is emerging trends. So let's just start with our look forward into 2025, set the stage for everybody, and let our panelists really do what they're here to do and kind of give you insight into 2025 and the emerging trends that they're seeing and the things that you guys really need to be prepared for and paying attention to. So with that, is again, we're going to start with Adam. Adam, from a programmatic standpoint, you're on the front lines of all this stuff, and you've created so much of the innovation within Choosel yourself and driven so much of that change. Going into 2025, what are some of the things, maybe one or two things that you see that are really key in the targeting matrix?
Yeah, well, and even outside of targeting, I mean, I think that what we're seeing is two big trends for next year. The first one is kind of like adoption of AI, and I think that there's been kind of like really two things that we've seen there. The first one being generative AI. We've actually started to work some partnerships with people that can help us do especially video and CTV creative using generative AI and stock footage and voice script to really take a lot of the kind of like pain and time out of what was always kind of like a challenging piece of marketing for us, or the timeline to get messages out to the market. So I think that generative AI doing creative has been a big topic. I think that we've seen some interesting early research on agent-based workflows where we've seen optimization and being able to train in agency into some of the emerging new AI frameworks. I think that's not quite as far along from what I've seen as the generative creative piece. But those are kind of like on the, what we're seeing coming out of AI. I think the other big trend that we've been working and seeing a lot of traction in the marketplace around is data and media curation. So starting to think really a lot harder about, what types of media are we buying? Where is it coming from? How can we do a better job of meeting the promise of what people often want, which is, in programmatic, when they're buying CTV, they expect it to be on all the highest quality publishers. And then sometimes in reality, depending on who you're working with and where they're buying inventory, that's not always the case. So, giving people better visibility and better control over how do we really truly buy what people are intending to buy.
Very interesting. Thanks. Kelly Grambo, as you are, not only selling different media types out there, but you're hearing what the customers are struggling with as well on the front lines of dealing with running the campaigns and seeing those campaigns. What are you seeing kind of as emerging trends, and what are you seeing looking forward?
Yeah, it absolutely taps into a little bit of what Adam said there about, the transparency. The clients are expecting transparency of where their ads are running, what kind of content they're in front of and things along those lines, but also turning it into what that means to them. So I can run impressions all day long, but it's really reducing it down to the human being behind the person consuming the impressions, wherever they are, and then what activities they interacted with the client in that space. So really, we call them customer journey stories. But sharing that information with our clients so that they're aware of how our advertising techniques are impacting the customer journey and turning into sales for them.
That's great. That transparency is something we've been after for a long time. And I think people are becoming a lot more sophisticated in how they're looking at their data and looking at their campaigns. That's a great insight. I love that. Kelly Miller, from your perspective, you guys have, we were talking earlier about COVID. One of the things that Yelp innovated during COVID was the idea of picking up at the curb and being able to identify where you could pick stuff up at the curb as a targeting feature, as a search feature. Now you guys are doing additional things. And you're constantly innovating, obviously, but what are some of the things you guys see as targeting features for 2025 and beyond?
Sure. For Yelp specifically, I mean, one trend that has never changed and has been alive and well on Yelp, celebrating our 20th year, is reviews. The second is AI Assist, which we launched this past April. And then the third, I would say, that has been around for several years, but is continuing to grow and explode. In fact, Fast Company just recognized us as being the home service powerhouse, which is our request to quote. So when you think about reviews, we've always been a trusted platform. People could share real experiences of past businesses they've used. So when consumers come to our platform, they're choosing to come to our platform, they're getting information that they need well beyond the business information that's provided. The second, which I love, is AI Assist. It creates a natural experience for the consumer, answering a few simple questions to make sure as we take them through that journey, we guide them and connect them to a home service pro that they want, that they need. So it enhances that trust and it enhances that experience. And then the third, request a quote. It's not easy to get a job anymore. You have to earn it. So request a quote gives the consumer an opportunity to provide the information that they need and expect more of home services when it comes to securing that job. So there's information that they can provide. They can actually, frankly, target the home service opportunities better and make a choice and a decision that's best for them. So the business owner wins, and Yelp wins, and the consumer, most importantly, wins. And the result is 83% of the time when somebody comes to Yelp, they make a purchase.
So it sounds like the emerging trend you're seeing is giving more power back to the consumers in their search experience,
100%.
in their ad experience.
They're in charge.
That's
Yes.
fantastic. That's fantastic. I think that all of that kind of comes together from everything you guys are talking about, we're seeing that in the news all day, every day. But those are great trends. So if you guys are one more survey for you, I promise I won't make you do this too often, but we have AI generated content and creatives and ads, things like that that Adam talked about. Transparency. I'm boiling it down. I'm being a little bit too tight on it, but Kelly talked about the transparency. And Kelly also talked about giving the consumers better control over the future. If you guys go into the chat, love to get your feedback on one of those three things. What do you think is going to be the most impactful going into 2025? The generative AI, the transparency, or consumer empowering? Go ahead and just put that in there. We will continue through, but love to get your feedback on that. See what you thought about those different trends and those different ideas there. Guys, moving to the next section is really lost my mouse there. We talked about programmatic. AI is everywhere in every conversation, everything that we do. But there is that slight hesitation of, well, what happens when I give over complete control of my stuff? Do I lose control altogether? Like I want to hold on to this stuff. And where is that balance between programmatic, automatic AI-driven advertising and that human control piece? And Adam, I think we're going to go back and start with you again. And obviously, being a programmatic powerhouse that Choosel is, how do you guys balance that human oversight, human intervention with the automation and the efficiencies there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an interesting question, and it's really one that has evolved a lot over time. When we think about kind of like the optimization tactics that we would have done, 10 years ago, something like that, a lot of those things have just been solved with all of the different platforms that we work with. So pretty much across the board, functioning DSPs at this point will do a lot for you to do better optimization and do it just like in a very automatic way. And then the AIs have gotten very good in terms of making bid decisions. Where we really still see a strong need for the human oversight is really in kind of like more of the strategy side of things. So what we always try to think about as we're working with a new advertiser is how do we really truly connect with the business problem that they're solving, and then understand that in a very deep way, and then bring a full strategy package to them that really helps them shift their business. And those are things where, like we've seen AIs be able to really easily kind of like spit back templated strategies. But I think it's that connecting into the true business problem and then thinking hard about what are you going to do to really, bring the right data, bring the right targeting, bring the right message, get all of that together and get that in front of people in a way that you really understand, who am I trying to influence and what's the behavior that I'm actually trying to get to. And it's so subtle and nuanced, that's where we really see that need for human oversight still. I think the other thing, that we kind of think about is, some of the frequency caps and being able to make sure that the message is landing in a way that it isn't overwhelming, is an area where DSP technology can really help you. So, if you're thinking about buying and coordinating across a bunch of different streaming platforms, say you're running like Hulu, Netflix, and then you're buying on LG and Samsung, being able to control frequency at a household level instead of on an individual platform by platform level is one of those areas where having that really understanding of what am I doing and why, and making sure that it creates a really good advertising experience, as opposed to, a lot of the times when we see as consumers, broken experiences with back-to-back creatives that are the same, things along those lines.
Yeah, or stacked creative on the same page, the same creative stacked multiple times.
Yep.
Are you seeing that time to results is decreasing as you're increasing the AI automation in optimization?
Yeah, it happens very fast. I mean, when we launch campaigns, we start to see immediate feedback from the AI calibrating what's working and what isn't. Usually within a day, and then we start to see it refine over the next few days. But it is very fast. what we put on top of that is then human optimization on kind of like time boxed frequencies where we look at overall the things where the platforms maybe aren't coordinating inside as efficiently as we think they could, or when we're thinking about media investment across platforms in an omni-channel buy, those are the areas where we'll still do, those frequent optimizations and have that be the human assisted automation.
That's awesome. Kelly Grambo, from a video and kind of traditional perspective, TV advertising, but then you guys also bring on digital. How are you seeing kind of this combination of AI and automatic advertising versus the human oversight? How are you guys managing that?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually was working with one of our nationwide retailers, and as often happens, we're in a test to win the business, and they were using Trade Desk, and so was I, and my team, and they obviously would be going direct to the source and not having to pay the management fee that they would be paying to us, of course, to make some money off of this. But they ended up
Those
choosing
cheeky
us over
brands.
themselves. Us over themselves. And I think that goes down to the human element of
Interesting.
using the platforms better. You just have more experience running them. And I think everybody can have access to some of these platforms, but if you don't know how to use it properly to get the results that you want, then it's really not going to make a big difference. So sometimes you end up paying a little bit more for an individual to do it for you that has a little bit more experience. So that's probably the biggest thing that we've run into is some of those elements.
That's very interesting. Head-to-head competition, and you guys ended up beating them. That speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Kelly, from Yelp's perspective, how are you guys looking at this automated optimization versus the human campaign delivery?
Sure. Definitely a balance. We are using neural networks, so that certainly puts us in a position of strength to provide not only a better end user experience, but bring the cost down for our advertisers when they invest. So that's the first piece. And our AI assist has certainly helped foster the programmatic side of it. But we still have the human element. Our advertising agencies do a fantastic job of helping small to medium-sized businesses make sure they're guiding them to appear in the right categories, to appear in the right searches, to be considered and be in the realm of consideration when they should be based on the consumer search, so that human element is still protected.
So it sounds like what you guys are saying is that AI absolutely has its place in optimization, but what we're seeing is the people that used to be hands-on keyboard doing the optimizations are moving from an operational job to more of a consultative job. So it's that human element of strategy that is taking over, and more time is being spent there to deliver better results while we're letting the more mundane tasks be taken over by the AI. So
Absolutely.
for those of you out there who are worried your jobs are going away, no, they're just shifting, and we're actually being able to get you in front of the advertisers to spend more quality time with the advertisers to build up those strategies and understand their needs more deeply, translates to the AI being able to optimize better on the back end.
Kevin, one of my favorite articles I read maybe about 4 or 5 months ago said that AI is like hiring a smart intern. They're smarter and faster than you, but they still need a boss.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy. That is great. So as we look at more of this targeting aspect of things and consumer trust, right? We're walking a thin line there. What is maybe one targeting aspect that you guys see as being most impactful, maybe going into 2025? I know we talked about a whole host of different things, but is there one kind of key component that you were suggesting campaigns center around this targeting feature or this kind of transparency feature? And Adam, maybe we'll start with you again, just kind of going with our standard rotation.
Yeah, well, I think it's, I mean, a couple of thoughts. We always try to have a balanced approach of using first and third party data as well as contextual. So I do think that, like, I would say first and foremost, balance matters in most of the campaigns that we run. So I don't think there's one tactic that always stands out. I would say that, the thing that I think most brands need to think really hard about is how do they build their first party footprint and, really create true authentic relationship with the people that are interacting with their brands, and then use that both to inform, modeling lookalikes, things along those lines, but also have really direct pathways to do the best possible communication that they can with, their most valuable people, which are the ones that are already interacting with them. So I think that, like, doubling down on first party data is hugely important right now. And then doing that in a way that, does build trust and gives consumers choice rather than, us just collecting everybody's data and hoping we find a good use for it someday.
Kelly Miller, Yelp really relies on trust so much for everything that you guys are doing. You mentioned that reviews are the kind of key component of what you guys have, that trust and that authenticity. So how do you balance that with the targeting of the ads and the sponsored placements and things to maintain the integrity, but also to give your advertisers the opportunity to get in front of the right audience?
That's a great question. There's a few key areas here. I mean, I almost feel like this is a loaded question. So, when it comes to reviews, there's two pieces. One, yes, consumers get to share their experience of past business experiences, but for businesses wanting to make sure that they're building their own trust, they need to make sure they're responding. When
Mm,
they respond, they have that opportunity to engage. They get to show other potential consumers that are on our platform that they care, and they put themselves in a position to remain being in the realm of consideration. The second is we take this very seriously. We have invested a significant amount in automated software that ensures that these are real users. We want consumers to know that they are going to get a firsthand experience review that's authentic. So that's very important to us. And when you look at the overall makeup of our reviews, most are positive. In fact, our 5-star reviews outweigh our 1, 2, and 3-star reviews. So the good news is it appears businesses that are on Yelp are doing a great job of engaging with those consumers. And then our AI assist from an automation perspective is helping build a better experience. So it keeps those consumers coming back to our platform. If they're connected with who they want to be connected with, they're more likely to come back again. Same with request a quote. It is, people are not apt to pick up the phone and just call you and say, come on out for a job estimate. We are smart shoppers today. We're not patient shoppers. So when we fill out that information, we expect speed to lead. So our agency partners have done a phenomenal job of addressing that with our API integrations, where they utilize their own AI software to further drive conversion with the businesses to make sure they're in a good position to get the job. But again, the consumer is protected because they're getting the information that they want. And then the final, which I love, last year we launched Yelp Guarantee, which builds trust even further when it comes to home services. If it's a job that's eligible, we will cover up to $2,500 if something goes wrong, if it's a
wow.
qualified job.
I know where my next call is going to be. It's going to be Yelp for sure. That's awesome. Kelly Grabo, you guys are the largest affiliate for Telemundo, which obviously serves the Hispanic community. Do you see building trust by using native language to help consumers on your platform? Do you see kind of that ethnic targeting a little bit to help build trust, focusing on channels that where those kind of cultures are more predominant, or are you seeing something else in terms of the targeting that's working best?
I think that depends on the location that you're serving the ads to and the individuals that you're trying to reach. But yes, I think doing native language advertising is important. I also think not confusing people anymore with whether or not it's an ad or it's a native ad or an article that is sponsored by an advertiser. So really no longer blurring the lines between content and not knowing if you're being served an ad, I think really goes a long way because we are, a news organization across the United States. So making sure that when we have a native article on our website, it says sponsored. You know, it's clearly not something that we put together. I think back in the olden days, you used to kind of slide that in there and be like, oh, it's an article, everyone will know. And that kind of stuff does not lead to really having consumer trust and them understanding that we're here to make content for them and we want them to consume it. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It was native ads, right? That's what we used to call those. They just
oh
slid
yeah,
them in there, and they're very, very subtle about how they went about doing that.
yes, yeah.
Adam, you talked about first-party cookies and first-party data, and there's a lot of automation that the brands and the advertisers can leverage for that. Um, but that's just one component of it. And I think that one of the questions is how do you see brands coming to your platform and agencies coming to your platform, leveraging AI on their side to maybe consolidate their data sets, or help them get better organization on their end, whether it be combining of the first party data with your third party data, with your additional targeting. Are there other tools or other things that you're seeing out there that help those brands, those advertisers, those marketers, kind of on their end to be more efficient?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that there's, and one of the distinctions that I always tend to think about is the difference between AI and machine learning. So, we talk a lot, and a lot of the hype in the industry is right now around AI with things like large language models and generative AI. And while those things, have certainly created a lot of buzz, and I think that there's potential for what we can do with them going forward, I think that it's important not to kind of lose sight of all the kind of like great capabilities that we've had where we've been able to bring in data, especially starting with consumer first party data that brands have collected, take those data sets and then really understand how to find people that look like your best customers or the people that interact most with your brand. And I think that fundamentally is a different problem that has been around in the industry for a very long time. But I think that the capabilities there just continue to improve. And so, I think that we have ways that partnerships we work with where some of the partners have really good capabilities to understand that, two people that may look a lot alike demographically, may have vastly different like ideology pushing their behaviors. And so how do we bring in a lot more signal to be able to do a better job of predicting, who are the people that could actually, have an influence on their behavior to do something that is the outcome that we're looking for with that brand. And so I think that's an area that we see a lot of interest in. I think that the ability to do kind of like mass optimization towards those first party data sets inside of the DSP is also an area that we've leaned into a lot. So we've definitely seen kind of like partners we've worked with where they're starting to do more and more with looking at how do we optimize towards those first party data sets and do that in ways that maybe we hadn't contemplated it as an industry before.
Yeah. Kelly Miller, you had referenced this in your previous discussion, but things like automated calling from request to quote, right? These are some other tools that the brands could use to speed up their time to contact, their time to sale. What are you seeing kind of that automated call dialer thing? It was something we used a long time ago. Is that coming back? Or are you seeing other tools that they're using?
So the success that I'm seeing the bulk of the agency partners are having is making sure that they have something established, whether it's sophisticated tools with AI or a process where the response is happening. So
Mm,
some still have a manual intervention, but it's exploding and becoming shifted on those that have also the AI tools that are sophisticated. And you may not even know you're not speaking with a human because there's so
right.
much information. And so they'll use the data to measure the conversions, and the conversions are telling the story. If they're converting, that's telling me that the consumer's happy because they found someone that they want to hire.
Yeah. Kelly Grambo, are you seeing any kind of AI automation in the creative asset department for you guys? Are brands being able to get more creative assets to the table faster by leveraging AI?
Yeah, I think where it's really coming in handy for our local businesses that we work with is really a time saver for, the emails that, they're trying to send out for drip campaigns, those
Sure.
types of things. But also just in the short form video content creation, ideas for that. A lot of these places have two marketing people in the department and they're trying to make videos, run Facebook ads, and do it all. So really coming up with fresh ideas. I feel like they go to AI to get some idea starters to make those videos. And we all know that content is king right now. So making sure that you have short form videos for your own business, whether you're distributing them through any channel or just on your own social media and website, I think that's an important piece that a lot of clients need these days.
Great. So if you guys are still with us, would love to get in the chat and see out of those three, kind of what are you leveraging from an AI perspective to help you with your marketing? Are you using, combination of first party data, any tools around the data management piece? Are you using AI to help you respond better and faster to leads that are coming in or your customers' leads? Are you using AI to help you generate more content faster and better than ever before? So those are the three things. Jump into the chat. Would love to kind of get your feedback on those different things. Data targeting, creative targeting, or response time. Go in the chat and let's see what you guys have to say about how you're using AI to improve kind of the lives around you. One of the key things is we're seeing smaller businesses become a lot more sophisticated, a lot faster than ever before. So we have this kind of trend of hyper targeting for the local businesses, small businesses versus national campaigns, and even national advertisers wanting to break up their campaigns into hyper targeting based on a lot of different things, right? What message works well in these different parts of certain cities or for certain demos or certain geos. Adam, getting back to you, are you seeing kind of we talked about the geofencing, how everyone hates geofencing, but are you seeing that people are leveraging different messages in different regions, different areas to help accelerate their ad campaigns and improve their ad campaigns on your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've over the last couple of years have put a lot of thought into, a lot of times it looks, like dealer networks, franchises,
Yeah.
things like that, where, and just by way of background, I spent about a decade with WPP working on kind of like some of the biggest brands in the world and thinking about how we would approach it from a national level. And then at Choosel, the thing that I always found is the biggest opportunity is how do you come up underneath that at a local dealer level or a local franchise level and really give kind of like that same level of attention to what the dealer is doing, potentially even giving them individually control over some of the assets that they're using, some of the targeting and some of the media, and how do you kind of find that agreement point between what the national brand is doing and what the local, dealer or franchisee is really looking for, and then how do you automate that at scale and really help them out to be able to tackle those problems because they're certainly not easy when you're thinking about dealer networks with thousands of different individual locations.
Right, right. Kelly Grambo, you guys have 36% of the entire US market from a TV perspective. So you have a huge footprint from that side, but you also service those local markets individually. Are you seeing any kind of trend on the local side for people to either use differentiated messaging based on location or picking and choosing different areas to target?
Yeah, absolutely. Just even I'm in Wisconsin here, even in Wisconsin on one side of the state, the messaging could be different than on my side of the state. It really, you're speaking to the individuals. We are all about local at Gray, local content, local news, really just being in the community. So the streaming platforms that we provide for our clients, whether they're just downloading our TV app, and we can really hyper focus the content then for the ads based off of where it's being delivered, what zip codes, those types of things, in addition to the programmatic addition that we would have on there. So really individuals, just it depends on what type of business that they are, but a lot of them are really tailoring their message to an individual market or at least a town.
Yeah. Kelly Miller, you guys have, huge brands that are on your platform with national footprints, as well as those, mom and pop shops as well. How do you see kind of that hyper targeting on a local level apply both to the national brands and to the mom and pop?
Yelp is committed and passionate about the consumer experience. So the great news with our platform, whether it's a national business or a local business, the outcome is going to be determined based on the consumer search query. So if it's relevant for a national business, you may be an option. If it's relevant for a local business in the market, you'll be an option. So we protect that experience in that regard. That being said, our agency partners can take it to really give them a little opportunity to compete even more on a national scale by having that additional layer of paint managing your campaigns and looking closely at it. From a national perspective, we can put national businesses off platform with Yelp audiences to get better exposure across the web. We also have Spotlight that has, video options for them. But for our local businesses, whether you're managed by an agency or doing it yourself, you're in a position where you can get that message out, manage your Yelp ads, drive hyper local contacts with you, and drive up your conversions. So in all situations, there's an opportunity.
That's great. That's great. Especially that differentiated message based on location. I think you all touched on that really helps to drive impact of your campaign and doesn't water down the message. So with your targeting, with your focus and abilities, you can create hyper-targeted local campaigns with messages that are unique and specific to those regions, even for national brands who have a very broad base that they're going after. Really, really great stuff there. The last piece is kind of about compliance. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the personalization, privacy regulations, and then consumer receptiveness and the fatigue a little bit that comes along with it. We've all heard that horror story that Target went through where they started sending baby products to a home, and the announcement that there was a baby coming had not been made public yet to the rest of the people in that home, and it was a very big surprise, negative surprise. But that's taking it a little bit too far and having negative consequences. But we can leverage this kind of programmatic AI-driven approach to have a very positive impact. We've seen Google recently put different things up on their ads saying, was this something that you were interested in? Was this relevant to you? To continue to help build that model of positive ad targeting, getting you stuff that's relevant, getting you stuff that you're most interested in. So having the consumer kind of play a role in the development of the ads that are coming to them. What are we seeing in terms of compliance? How, we got first-party data, we've got third-party data, we have all this other targeting. How are we walking that fine line between knowing what they had for breakfast before they've even eaten breakfast and, giving them a completely bland experience that has no targeting with it at all? Kelly Miller, maybe from Yelp's perspective, how do we walk that fine line going into 2025?
Well, we definitely take privacy laws very seriously. In fact, they're continuously evolving, and there's over 20 comprehensive laws in the US alone. So there's a lot to keep up with there. So we have an actual privacy team that we partner with to make sure we're keeping up with the compliance changes that continue to evolve. That being said, we're also committed to transparency for our consumers, for our Yelp users. They're afforded an easy way to decide and determine what their privacy options will be. So we keep it simple.
Nice, nice. Kelly Grambo, what are your thoughts on the privacy matter and kind of consumer targeting?
Yeah, the first part, I would say the consent management platforms. If our clients don't have them, that is the first thing that we suggest that they, install on their sites. because a lot of people still don't have those today, but they can be pretty robust. And then we can do our job as long as people agree to it. So that helps them. Really, from our side on consumer receptiveness and ad fatigue, it's really the structure with which we set up the campaigns that I think helps in this regard.
Mm,
We really try to back up that conversion point about 5 places and retarget different ads depending on how the consumer is interacting with the website.
that's interesting.
So if they're let's see, going to make an appointment at a place to go meet with somebody, they've probably looked at the locations, or they've looked at, different pages throughout the site, maybe even press the button to, make an appointment, but didn't actually do it. We serve different ads to the user based on those different interactions. So it cuts down on the blind retargeting that would be happening. And really, you're not overly retargeting the individuals who just, came to the site one time and aren't really interested. You're moving them through the funnel by retargeting them differently for each interaction that they have on the website.
That's great. That differentiated experience does cut down on ad fatigue and
Yeah.
re-engages people in different ways as they're coming back. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Adam, what are your thoughts on this last kind of compliance issue?
Yeah, I think Kelly Miller hit it on the head correctly. I mean, it's the fragmentation of state level legislation, is a huge challenge, right? You, as a data processor, have, higher burden of compliance than you ever did before, and it's now more complicated because it's at a state by state level. I think that the privacy regulation is actually a really great thing for our industry. I think that it's caused us to have to really think about some of the things that we took for granted and change things so that we are more transparent. And I think that, transparency, giving people options, giving people the ability to opt out are all really great movement in the industry. But I would also say that if you're a brand thinking about who do I trust with my first party data, think really hard about the partnerships that you're forming, and make sure that you're working with kind of like industry leaders that have taken the time to build up those those compliance regulation, and the ability to actually understand the frameworks that they're working in and adhere to it. So that's an area we've really kind of like looked at, okay, how do we bring the best partners into these problems so that we know that as we're working with brands, that their data is going to be in the best possible hands that have the most eyes on like how to do these things correctly, rather than just giving the kind of veneer of security and compliance. Like, we work
Yeah.
with partners that have really deeply invested into this area.
That's great. Kelly, not to make light of the situation, but you said you had that privacy department that's all they do is focus on the privacy and policy. It thinks
Yes.
back to Fight Club, right? The first rule of the privacy department is you don't talk about the privacy department. I can just imagine people in like cubes that don't even talk to each other. They're like, "What department are you in?" "I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you." It's the
That's
privacy
right.
department. That's awesome. Guys, thanks so much. We've covered so much ground here. And just as a parting gift to everybody else, all of this data that we talked about, all these different campaigns, you can pull all of that data back into TapClicks. We can be the central repository for all of the data that customers, brands, agencies are running out there. And then you can compile it and see how your lift is working across all the different campaigns, how your targeting is working, and creating opportunities across the board. One thing that we have rolled out, I think you may have seen, we have benchmarks that are coming into the platform based on very, very granular demographics. So if you have a plumber, we can show you how your campaign is working, not only month to month, but over the entire network of plumbers that are running campaigns, how your ad is running and compared to those. We have an alpha program right now. If anybody is out there who is interested in seeing how your campaigns are running against the industry that you've selected for those campaigns, we're taking alpha testers now. We're getting people signed up for the list. So if you're interested, it's our benchmark report that's based on the industry that you're running these ad campaigns against. Please email me back at marketing@tapclicks.com. We will get you on the list. We will get in communication with you share a little bit more information and try to get you as one of those alpha testers on the platform there. Something that I think it should be really important to everybody to see not only how your campaigns are working against itself, but against everybody else out there, and show the overall lift for that. If you guys have any questions, we have come to the end of our regular content section here. Love to capture any questions you guys have for the panelists. We have one last slide here. If you would like to follow up with any of our panelists directly, please feel free. They would love to chat with you afterwards about anything we talked about here. We covered so much ground, from AI implementation to human implementation to targeting to geographic targeting and new trends that are coming out in those spaces. And I think you've heard from 3 very different sections of the market, from 3 different campaign kind of types, and they all kind of said the same thing when you boil it down. There were very few things that were different from all of our panelists. So key trends for 2025, I think, are being really focused about how you're using AI to implement things on the back end, how you're using geographic targeting to create differentiated messages to increase your overall campaign performance, and the transparency of what you're doing really goes a long way into building that trust factor that people really need and are expecting now, kind of going into the future. So if that resonates with you guys, would love to hear back from you. Again, marketing@tapclicks.com. Love to get your feedback on that if you have any additional questions. But here's all the contact information for our panelists, and would love to have you guys follow up with them as well. One question: are you capturing any necessary data with GA4? So GA4 captures a ton of stuff, and from a TapClicks perspective, we integrate with GA4. And so not only can you bring in your campaign data, but you can bring in your GA4 data, so we can see what's happening on the advertising side. You can also see what's happening on the website side, and how all of those are working together all the way down your funnel, from the top of the funnel to the conversion at the very bottom of your funnel. You can build your retention models off of that as well. So TapClicks really integrates very, very well with GA4, and from either agencies or brands, gives you that 360-degree picture that you're looking for, all in a single platform. You can build your widget specific to your specific needs, whether you're e-commerce, whether you're building brand awareness, whether you're driving SaaS adoption, whatever you may have. We create that unique and customized view for you. It's very difficult to build that in GA4. We have the flexibility to bring in just the stats and just the data that you want to show that overall picture that you're specifically driving for. So hope that answered that question that came in. Why don't you email us, Chris? Email us, and we'll get you connected up with somebody who can walk you through the GA4 stuff more specifically, talk about your unique instance, and get you set up there. Awesome. Any other questions out there? We are just about at time. Really, really appreciate everybody staying on. Adam, Kelly, so nice having you guys. It was a great conversation. Loved having you. We'll definitely have you guys back in the future. And everybody who joined, thanks so much for joining. Again, this is recorded, and we will be sending this out shortly to you guys as soon as we get it compiled. And you can also see it on our YouTube channel. So if you also have questions, we do have other aspects to get in touch with us. We have social media, we have LinkedIn, a lot of different ways to get in touch with TapClicks. Feel free to hit us up on any one of those channels, and we'd be excited to get back in touch with you and follow up. So thanks everybody for your time. Kelly, Adam, it's great talking to you guys. Have a wonderful week, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.